everyone. I'm Sukriti Sehgal and I will be hosting this session. IEEE MSIT brings you a session to take learning from the experience, as we believe to bring exposure to everyone and try build confidence in them. And let's make our session a success. So I'm going to tell you the sequence of the session. First, I'm going to tell you about a wonderful speaker. Then we will start the session. And in the end, we will be having a question answer section. So do not forget to write all your questions in the chat box and I will convey them to our speaker. And we will try our best to answer each and every question of yours. So we are really proud to have Mr. Debojit Sen as a speaker today, who is a very passionate speaker and who has held a number of sessions about management across the country. He currently holds the position of the director at Car Deco, which is a well-known online automobile platform. Prior to this, he also has an experience of working with Exceed Education, that is an edtech organization, and has a long stint of managing and growing StudyMate brand at HD Media Limited. Now we request Sir to enlighten us on interview cracking and storytelling. Over to you, Sir.
Thank you, Sukriti. That was a nice and sweet introduction. Thanks for that. And I'm seeing some students joining in from different colleges, I would assume, for the session. Very interesting time also. I understand a Sunday evening for a session like this, an enlightening session like this may not be the time people want to attend a session like this, but I'm very glad and happy to see some of you still taking out time on a Sunday evening for a session like this. Like always, Sukriti and the people who are joining, there are some basic rules that we'll have over the next 1 hour. First of all, as Sukriti rightly mentioned, please put all your questions on the chat box. Whatever questions you have, feel free to put on the chat box. And secondly, anyway, we are very few people here. If you can put your videos on, at least some of you, that will give me also the energy to continue the session for the next 1 hour. So that because I'm able to see someone, otherwise it's almost like talking to a blank screen. So these are the two very simple rules that if we can follow, I would be grateful. Thirdly, I would want to start. There are 1 or 2 people who are still joining in. I would want to start the session with a poll. There is a very interesting. There are amalgamation of 2 different topics that we are going to cover today, and these 2 are very different from each other, but also come together at a certain point in terms of storytelling and cracking interviews. Given all of you are studying in a college right now, and therefore it becomes even more imperative for you to crack the right interviews in your life as you go along in order to have a successful career. So there'll be a small poll coming up on your screen. You have to just select the right options you feel are correct as per you. Here goes the poll. Firstly, the first question is, what kind of stories do you like the most? Is it action stories? Are they emotional stories? Are they romantic stories? And are they horror stories? You just have to select one option for out of the 4. Second question is, what element of your personality helps the most or will help the most in cracking interviews? So as per you, which element of the personality helps the most in cracking interviews? Is it communication skills? Is it knowledge about the subject in which the interview is happening? Is it your fit against the role for which you're getting interviewed? Is it professional looks? A lot of times people look at us and decide whether we want to take us or not, which may or may not be correct. And is it authenticity? These are the 5 options that you can select from. I have done my voting. Once you do your voting, you'll be seeing the answers on the screen. What have you selected? Quickly finish your options and press submit. Very simple. Just press your options and press submit. Okay, we have around 9 votes done out of the 16 people who are on the who are right now on the session. So another few votes I would wait for. Then look at what are you guys waiting for in the poll. Voting for in the poll. Okay, we have 10 votes, 11 votes now. Maybe one more vote I would wait for. Okay, let's have the answers on the screen. Let's see what have you voted for in terms of the 2 options. Okay, 57% people say they like horror. in the kind of stories that they want, like seeing, like hearing, like watching. 57%. So I need to be a little scary today, I think, to convince the audience on the session. The second bit is people feel knowledge becomes the most important in cracking interviews. If you have the right knowledge for the particular interview, you will crack them well. Remember these two. I think this will be a very good starting point for us to take you through the session. Here I go in terms of taking you through the journey. Be as participative as possible. I think that will help you gain maximum from the session that I'm going to take with all of you. And as I said in the beginning, keep writing your questions in the chat box, and I'll keep answering them as and when I feel necessary. Okay, great. So a little bit about me. I am Debojit, as she mentioned. My childhood was in Bengal. This is a small city in Bengal called Kharagpur, in a government school. Nice, green, peaceful city, but people only know it for the IT that's there. In Kharagpur, I think if I ask some of you if you know the city of Kharagpur, you might end up saying the longest railway platform in the world, but most of you would tell an IIT. Always had a passion for public speaking, music, and cricket. Did nothing about them for most of my life. Followed the herd, went down to do my engineering from NIT Rourkela, did my master's from SPJ in Mumbai. I don't know if you've heard about these colleges. And then moved on to have my first job with Hindustan Times. Now, Hindustan Times was a media company, but they asked me to start a business in education, because they wanted to get into the education sector also. So that was my first job. I spent a long time, 7 years in Hindustan Times, building that business, and I learned everything from the scratch in that 7 years. So it was not sales, marketing, ops, finance, HR, IT, tech, product, a specific field for me. I did everything for those 7 years, and that helped me understand how businesses are formed, how businesses grow, how can we manage business right from that clerk or that watchman at the front of the building to the CEO of the company, because I was doing literally all of it at one go. Post that, I moved to a MNC called Exceed Education. This is a Singapore-based MNC where I worked for 1.5 years as the regional head for North and East India. And right now, currently, I'm a director at Cardeco. That's all the boring part of me, if you ask me. The interesting bit is I have my own organization, an edtech company called Cracked. Cracked provides various sessions and webinars for students across the country. In fact, just yesterday, we had a very, very beautiful session where Vineet Panchi, who is a renowned filmmaker, a TEDx speaker, a poet, and a business owner, joined me in taking people through relationships, how relationships can become better in everyone's lives. And we conduct various of these journeys and sessions all across the country. That I co-founded about 6 months back when the pandemic had hit all of us. And that's, I think, the more interesting part of me, because that's where I follow my passion, along with being the director of the company called Cardeco, where I'm driving this company to newer heights in both the new car and the used car segment. I think we got a few questions about the journey of Cardeco also before the session, and we'll take them also as we go along. So that's a little bit about me. What I'm going to take you through today is two very critical skills. First is, of course, the journey of storytelling. Now, a lot of times we hear about this beautiful skill of being able to express yourself through a story, telling the incidents that have happened in your life through a story, and therefore convincing someone to give you a job, to give you a project, to give you a promotion, to, in fact, even the entire media tells stories these days, right? You hear a lot of news across, which are a lot of stories sometimes. So the storytelling as a skill becomes important, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the first section. What is storytelling? I'll move on to why is it important, both in the interview context and in the overall corporate context. So a lot of you will be doing jobs after this, and therefore why storytelling is important becomes an important one. The third part I'll cover is how do you crack interviews, some hacks to crack interviews. So I'll use storytelling as a major bridge to reach how do you crack interviews, and then talk a little bit about interviews also, and eventually your path of becoming a storyteller. So these four broad sections is what I'll cover for all of you. Feel free, as I keep saying, to ask questions on the chat box, and I'll be very happy to answer or refer to them as I go along. So starting with, what is storytelling? Now, it's a very, very ancient art. If you guys are aware, even before the language was evolved in the English, all sorts of languages were evolved. Storytelling was always there. In fact, even if you look at animals today, they are talking with each other more in terms of stories than in terms of a language, right? And therefore, it's a very, very ancient art of gossiping, of telling stories. And thus it comes very, very naturally to us. If you even look at yourself, when you're talking to your best friend, telling them stories of what have happened in the day or in the last month, you're more happier, you're more connected to yourself as compared to facts that you tell someone, as compared to degrees that you talk about or classes that you talk about that you take in college, right? And therefore, it's the art to tell stories in order to engage an audience. And how do you do that? Obviously, there are various types of it, but always remember this is a very critical part of your identity. Why I'm saying a critical part of your identity is because people know you by the stories you tell them. People, you yourself have an identity based on the kind of stories you are able to tell people, right? Your signature, your thumb impression, obviously are parts of identity that you put on your checks, on your bank account statements, on your Aadhaar card, PAN card, etc. But your stories are your actual identity in terms of yourself, your personality, because that's how people know you. These are the kind of stories that you like saying, right? And therefore, a lot of times we feel, where do we get all these stories from, right? Where do these stories come from? The stories are all around us, families around us, right? So many stories about our grandfathers, grandmothers, our parents, how they fell in love, if they fell in love. And therefore, the stories around you in terms of your siblings, in terms of your nephews, cousins, so many stories happening. Movies, another big one, right? There's so many stories where we come back and tell to our families about the movies we have seen. Now imagine, movies itself are most of the time a mythical story, right? There is no truth about them. But even then we like them so much, or we get connected to them so much, we tend to come back and tell that to someone else. And that's where we get stories from. Love, I don't know how many of you have been in love. If you have been, you know that there's a story getting built at all times, right? When love happens for the first time, and therefore you love absolutely every action, every step that that person does in front of you. And thus the introduction of the story. Childhood, a lot of you are very young, but I'm assuming the childhood has just gone by. All the stories that you have spent with your loved ones in your childhood, with your friends, with your colleagues in your childhood, again, some of them very, very memorable. If you notice some very important thing in all of these moments, more emotionally invested we are, less critical and less observant we become. Because these things are more closer to our heart, we find lesser mistakes with these things. In a movie that you're absolutely loving in a movie theater, you would normally not want to get digressed, right? Not get distracted. You would constantly keep watching. You would not take out the mobile and start calling someone in between a movie. Similarly, when you're spending time with your most loved ones, or with your friends, with your colleagues, or with your family members, you get distracted a lot lesser. You get lesser critical. And that's why stories are that much more powerful. Because these are moments when you're absolutely set in order to do the best possible, be the best possible self of yourself. In this, remember, there are various theories of a story, right? And if you have seen lots of movies, if you have read a lot of books, you will realize what I'm saying. Every story has a certain setting or a context or a situation. How many of you have seen the movie Tamasha? Can I have a quick yes on the chat box or a no on the chat box if you have not seen it? The movie Tamasha by Ranbir Kapoor and Deepika Padukone. Yeah, on the chat box, once you type to everyone, I'll be able to see your answers. So Aditya says no, he hasn't seen the movie Tamasha. Anyone who's seen the movie Tamasha? Yukti says yes. Okay. There are others. Yeah. Sukriti says yes. Come on, guys. There are others in the session. Quickly, I need an answer. Only if you're engaged, we'll be able to absorb maximum. Urvi says no. She hasn't seen the movie. Interesting. So there's Yukti and Sukriti, and I'm assuming a few others. Be active on the chat box. That helps all of us learn better. Prashant says no. So you would know, even in that movie, like in a lot of movies, there's a context, right? Ranbir Kapoor is a regular office goer who tends to follow the herd. be in that same circle like everyone else, where you would go to office at 9 o'clock, come back at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And have a regular life, right? And you feel that you are very, very happening, you're doing a great job with your life, although there is just one life. Then there's a conflict that happens. Now the conflict in the movie is when Deepika tells him, you're not the person I know, right? You're someone else, and I can't connect with the person that I'm seeing right now. When that happens, there are questions that keeps coming in his own heart and his own mind. Why is she saying like that? How does she demand that she knows me more than what I know myself? And then there are flashbacks of his past, where his father forced him to become an engineer and then become this particular employee that he is today, although his original strength was to become a storyteller, was to listen to stories and tell it to the world in a very unique way, right? And then the third step is the resolution that you would see in every movie. In the resolution, the protagonist or the primary character would come out of the problems he has faced and therefore become successful. Taking the example of an English movie, I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Joker. If you have seen, yes. If you have seen, not seen, no. Quickly, if you can type in the chat box. Joker is the last year's award-winning, had won many Oscars last year for the brilliant performance by the protagonist. Shalabh says yes. So Kriti, I think, said yes. If you've seen the movie Joker, again, there is a context where no one accepts him. He feels like a loner. He feels like he's being defeated all his life. Then comes a moment when he starts shooting people openly in the metro station and realizes there's something very strong about him. And that something was negativity. But even that thing was his personal brand, how he became unique. And then he realized the resolution was the birth of the Joker, where he realized that I am this person. Eventually, he felt that he stands for something. If you realize, in each story that's there, without a conflict, there is no story. Without a challenge, there is no story. Every movie, in fact, every interesting situation that has happened in your life till now, most of the time you have faced a conflict, a challenge, and therefore you have become a part of a story. And thus, there are three clear steps that I wanted to tell you that always happens in a story: a context, a conflict, and a resolution. From tomorrow, when you face a conflict, realize the story is getting made and therefore feel happy. When you face a challenge, realize the story is getting made and therefore feel happy that you're going to achieve something now. Because without a conflict, mostly there is no story. Right now comes the interesting part, which is about why is storytelling so effective, right? And I have done a lot of research on this topic. In the research, what has come out is storytelling actually tends to secrete certain hormones in our body. Those hormones are called dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphin. These are real hormones that get secreted in our body when you hear a certain story. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you a story for me to explain this even better. So this was, I think, 2017. Me and my life partner Palak had gone out for a vacation in Europe, and we had gone to Paris for the first time. And we had heard a lot of stories about Paris before that, we should not step out of our hotels a little late in the night. And there's a lot of crime that also happens if you're not safe and if you're not necessarily in the best possible safety that you have taken. We were coming back from Disneyland that day. We had missed our bus. So when you go with these, when you book a certain agency, which we had booked after we landed in Paris, they take you there. They take you there and then show you around Disneyland and then bring you back, right? We'll miss that bus. So we had to come back in the Paris metro train. Now in that metro train, we were sitting in one part of the train. Exactly opposite to us, there was this person who was short-heighted, dark in complexion, constantly staring at this girl who was wearing a dress, constantly staring. And we knew that the girl did not know him. We were getting very, very, very uncomfortable because of the situation. And the person was staring. You understand what I mean, right? It was very, very uncomfortable. Post that, we thought that we should get down quickly from here because of the discomfort we were feeling. We also wanted to help the girl or tell the girl to move away, move out from there in some way or the other. The girl actually went away, but we got a little uneasy after that event. We got down of the train, walked till coming out of the metro station, and till that time, Palak was already feeling a little pukish after that incident. So I went to the medical shop with her and got her some medicines. Took the medicine, and our hotel was about 150 meters away, and we started walking towards our hotel. And it was about 10 o'clock at night. As soon as we started walking, both of us realized someone was following us. And these were two people who were following us. And we started walking a little faster. And we realized that these guys also started walking a little faster. I actually turned back and saw one guy was about 6.5 feet tall, again dark, was wearing a blue jacket over, I think I remember clearly, a black t-shirt beneath, a blue jacket, and had these chains, these golden chains, both in his neck and in his hand. And the other guy was not so tall, but quite tall, but very, very muscular. I did not have the courage to turn back again. We started walking very fast, almost running. If you see me, you would realize that if these guys get hold of me, there's no running away, right? After that, we almost started running from there. And to our horror, we realized these guys were also running behind us. We were just about to reach the hotel when the guy, the 6.5 feet tall guy, had caught up on us. And he held me from my shoulders and said, "Hey." And both of us turned back. And his voice was also very, very heavy. And both of us turned back. And you know what happened? What if I don't tell you what happened? What if I end the story here and not tell the next step? Now, what you guys would have experienced right now is dopamine, which is a hormone in your body which comes from motivation, which comes from focus, which comes from anticipation. Why most movies work is because they produce dopamine in your body. They would show you the last scene in the beginning and then show the rest of the movie till the end. And full movie, you would be thinking, what would have happened? What would have happened because of which the last scene happened, which they showed in the beginning, right? And because of this is a very age-old technique where storytellers tend to use this technique in order to make it even more real every time, and you want to know the end, right? You don't even know right now whether it's true or false, right? But you still want, a part of you still wants to know the end, what would have happened on that day, right? I'll get back at the end on what happened. It's a true story, by the way. The second hormone that I would talk about is oxytocin. Oxytocin is about love. It's about bonding. When I see my pet, when I go to office, come back, used to go to office, now I'm mostly working from home. When I go to office, come back, my pet jumps on me. I have a Labrador, a white Labrador. His name is Waffle. He tends to jump all around me, right? He celebrates as if it's Diwali every day. Now that moment is an oxytocin moment for me every day, right? Which is a hormone of trust, bonding, love. This you would feel when you're seeing movies of love, when you meet someone loved after a long time. Feel these are all hormones related. Also, when you're reading books of certain stories. So this is another hormone that plays a critical part in storytelling. Third hormone is endorphin. Now this is the hormone that's related to the humor, the laughters, the relaxation, the creativity that you have. And these are real things that happen in your body, guys. And that's why I told you the story, so that you realize that it actually happens, right? So these are some of the hormones that get secreted at the time of storytelling. And in order to even do well in life, let's say even in cracking interviews, you need to know what are your stories of oxytocin, endorphin, and dopamine. If you know your stories for each one of these hormones, you can choose which one to tell in which situation, right? You're in a forget interview, you're in a party, and you want people to actually have a good time with humor, relaxation, and creativity. Remember 2-3 stories of humor, right? You don't have to always sit behind and think, "Arey, I'm not humorous, that guy is. He will talk, I will laugh." that will not make you the most powerful person in your circle, right? And thus remember some of these stories that keep you in the game, which helps you in becoming a good storyteller also. Why storytelling? I think no brainer. A lot of brands use storytelling in order to sell what they want to sell. I think all of you would have seen advertisements of Surf Excel, of Dairy Milk, of Google for that matter. These are brands that use storytelling in a big way, right? In order to engage with the audience. Also, remember that all of us have stories around us. Similarly, companies also have stories, right? How they got formed. If you see CEOs and owners, they will always talk about stories of failure or stories of how they formed their companies. That first time when they started in a garage and then it became really big eventually in future, right? And therefore, when you tell real, actual, true stories, people tend to connect with you more also. They tend to trust you, right? Rather than telling, imagine falling in love and saying that, okay, I'm right now doing my course from MSIT. Want to become a master's program or a great job person from here right now. I want to make sure that I keep my parents happy. Instead of that, you tell them a story of what has happened in your life and why do you think you should get into this relationship. The chances of getting into the relationship becomes 100 times more. Same thing for sales, same thing for business development, same thing for your corporate image also, where you are able to tell professional stories. The brand is able to tell stories so that customers trust you. People like empathetic companies. People like caring organizations where you're able to connect as a brand, and then you want to go and buy things from that brand also. And that's why stories become important. The top 10 companies generate 50% more income just by telling good stories. The top 10 companies of the world I'm talking about, 50% more income just by telling good stories of how their brands got sold, why customers love them, what they do with the customers. I don't know if you are aware of this brand called WestJet Airlines, who actually asked people before they went on a flight, what do you want for Christmas? And people felt they're just having fun, they're joking. And therefore, from kids to very elderly people told in front of a Santa Claus, which was a robot Santa Claus, this is what I want. Someone told a TV, someone said watches, someone said they want to go get tickets to some other part of the world, etc., etc. See this video on YouTube, it's there. When they landed, after taking that airline, along with their luggage came that gift that they had asked for. They arranged for that gift in 2 hours straight. Not very difficult once you decide to arrange some gifts, right? Imagine the customer satisfaction that they would have got from that one activity. They would have spent maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 lakhs. Anyway, you spend so much on marketing. You do one TV ad, you spend crores. And then they put that on YouTube, they put that on Facebook, they put that on Instagram, they put that on LinkedIn, they put that everywhere. The kind of brand recall that brand got after that was phenomenal. Again, a story that we made customers happy. We actually believe in making customers happy. And that smile on that little child or that elderly person's face when they saw their gift, which they had asked for. In fact, someone asked for a sock set, right? And they said, oh God, why did I ask for socks? I could have asked for the world, when they got the gift actually. And that's the power of brands, power of stories. Marketing and advertising, I spoke about it, right? They evoke emotions. When you see the Dairy Milk ad, anyone remembers the Dairy Milk tagline? What does Dairy Milk say in their tagline? Anyone remembers that? They can type in the chat box. Something to do with sweetness, meetha, which is more a hint. What is the tagline of Dairy Milk? If you remember their ad. Kuch meetha ho jaye. Absolutely right, Urvi. You can type in your address on the chat box, Urvi, and I'll send you a Dairy Milk personally for getting that answer right. I'm not joking. I'm serious. You can type in your address on the chat box and you'll get, or just type in your mobile number. I'll get in touch with you separately. Or just type into privately to the host. Cracked is the name of my company. You can type in privately to them. Thanks. So various ways that brands reach out to us and therefore make it successful through great storytelling techniques. Thus, at this point, I would want to take a pause and tell you how do you want to use storytelling and how to crack interviews, right? And that's the other part in our session. Very important is, before you want to get into cracking interviews, please remember to choose a job that you don't have to work a day, work for a single day in your life. Confucius has said this. What this means basically is, choose a job you love. Choose a job that is close to your passion. Japanese have a technique called ikigai. I don't know if you've heard about this technique. Ikigai is the combination of 4 things. If you get those 4 things right, you're going to be always happy. First thing is, do what you love. This is a no-brainer, right? You should do what you love. Second is, do what you're good at. So it's not enough to just doing what you love. I love, for example, cricket, but I'm very average at cricket. So even if I keep doing it, I'm not good at it, and I may not make it big in life. So second is, do what you're good at. Third is, do what the world needs. So you might be good at something, you might love something, but if the world doesn't need it, it may not be great, right? You might be good at making people feel scared, and therefore you might love being in a terrorist group, but if the world doesn't need it, then it may not be a great idea. Last thing is, do what you can get paid for. Number 4. So 4 things I'm repeating. Do what you love, do what you're good at, do what you can get paid for, and do what the world needs. If you hit ikigai in your life, guys, I can challenge you, I can actually tell you with my own experience, you will not need to look at anything else all your life. Just figure out what is at the center of all these 4 for you. And then you will keep earning a lot, loving your life always. And I mentioned that on the chat group also as I speak. So I'll open a poll here for all of you, and I'm hoping all of you have a good time hearing. Again, a question will come up on your screen. Just mention the answer that you think should be the answer of the poll. Here's the question. First question, which question is asked most in an interview as per you? Before I get into the interview section, tell me something about yourself. I don't know how many of you have attended interviews. I have taken, I think, more than 100 interviews till now. In fact, thousands if I think of it. And I've appeared in at least 20, 25 interviews. So tell me something about yourself. Is that the question that people ask? Why this organization and why this role? Is that the question people ask? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Is that the question? And what's your favorite subject as a student and why? Second question I want to ask, I spoke about a few brands, asking you what's your favorite brand? Which is your favorite brand when it comes to storytelling? Is it Coke? Is it Cadbury? Is it Surf Excel, Hutch, Dove? Another Dove is beautiful. Dove's ads are very, very beautiful. They talk about the actual beauty in you. Nike, Apple. Please choose, press submit, and I'll wait for you to. Prashant says Swiggy, interesting. I did not have that in the options, but Swiggy does good ads these days. I know the owners of Swiggy, very innovative people from IIM Calcutta, and well researched. They've done well for themselves. Can I have quickly more people voting on the 2 options on the screen and press submit? We have 50% people who have voted already out of the 30 odd people in the session right now. A few more and then I'll show you the answers that you have all answered. Great. Can I have the answers on the screen? About 60% people have voted. Okay, 50% people think the question that I'm going to ask the most is, tell me something about yourself. We'll talk about it. Also, 29% people say, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? We'll talk about that also. Favorite brand when it comes to storytelling, Apple. Apple and the kind of stories Apple says, 36%. I think people have answered the favorite brand as compared to the stories that these brands say. Apple tells the truth most of the times. Unbelievable brand. No marketing class can get over without mentioning Apple, but we'll reserve that for some other day. Very interesting polls. That takes me to what is an interview, right? Before, in my times, in my father's and grandfather's and uncle's time, an interview was a structured conversation where the interviewer asks and you answer, right? The interviewer will ask you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions and you would answer those questions. What is it today? Today it's going to become very different. The modern interviewing process is much more interactive and is designed to offer employers insight into not only your skills but also your personality. It's no more a one-way conversation where someone is asking and you're answering. It's more interactive in nature where both parties are asking, both parties are answering, and both are evaluating each other. Even you as the interviewee is evaluating whether I want to join this company or not. We have come to a very different era right now, which is called the social revolution, where everything is online, everything, therefore people are going through stages. There are 3 phases that you will see normally in an interview. First is the introduction. This is the time when you enter the building of the organization, or when you switch on the camera in a video interview. A lot of times we tend to take this time very lightly. This is the time where you might meet the security guard of the organization. This is the time where you might meet other people other than the person who will take the interview. This is the time where you have switched on your camera, but the interviewer's camera is not on. And therefore you're setting your hair and you're making sure that the shirt or t-shirt or whatever you're wearing is fine, although the interviewer might be looking at you, right? His camera might be switched off, but he might be looking at you. So the introduction phase is a very important one, where you are being judged without you knowing you are being judged, right? And therefore just put your best foot forward in the introduction. Second is the getting to know you. This is the interview that happens, right? And I'll talk more about it. Third is closing. Closing is not the interview. Closing is after the interview finishes. Do you end with a nice thank you? Do you leave the video call or the building graciously while having a smile on your face? Do you also write them back by saying it was nice interacting with you, look forward to being in touch irrespective of the result of the interview? Do you tend to look at your LinkedIn profile maybe and also sending on LinkedIn connects, great talking to you today, I wish to stay in touch in future? Do you do all of these things, which is closing, right? And therefore these are the 3 steps, as I already mentioned, which is first is the introduction. Remember to turn off your cell phones. Do not chew gum. A lot of people that have come to me, young boys and girls, chewing gums in the interview or eating candies in the interview. The worst time to chew a gum or eat candy. Wait for the interview to offer you a seat. A lot of times there's a chair. They would come and sit on the chair, maybe without asking. You should not keep waiting. Just ask, sir, can I take this chair if it's a face-to-face interview? Smile naturally, right? Don't smile unnaturally. That also sometimes is very obvious that you are giving a fake smile, and as if you're doing a service by smiling. So smile naturally always helps, and convey confidence. Keep your arms and legs open as much, mainly arms as much as possible. This doesn't help, right? In an interview, it should be open. Actually, use your hands while you're talking. It gives very positive body language. Be aware of your non-verbal cues, right? A lot of time your eyebrows might get raised. You might be in the habit of rolling your eyes over. All of that shouldn't happen in an interview. Happened with me various times. A lot of girls I met would keep adjusting their hair during the interview. You would be looking at the sky. A lot of guys I meet are not looking at me, but looking at this, looking at the roof. I don't know, for some reason. Just be aware of what you do, right? Practicing in front of the mirror helps. Getting to know you is a very important part. In this, guys, avoid oversharing about your personal life. A lot of people will tell you, tell me about yourself. In that, they want to hear about you as a professional. They want to give you a job. They are not making you a DJ in a music club. And why I'm telling this in that much language is, talk about your personal life, but in little bit detail. That I come from here, these are my hobbies and passion, and this is the kind of work that I have done till now. And if you are a student, then talk about the projects, talk about your courses, talk about what you have learned from these projects and courses, talk about the degrees, talk about the life choices you have taken professionally till now. If participation in a club has helped you become something, then talk about that also, which is a professional skill that you have gained, right? So that is sharing about yourself, and I'll give you more and more examples as I go along about sharing an opinion, especially about politics and religion. Don't share opinions when you are in an interview about these things. About saying negative about your past employers or your past college, right? Try and remain neutral, if not positive. Even if you're stating an area of improvement, say that what you did in order to change it, about your college or about your past company. And remember, you don't have to talk continuously. Very important. A lot of times there are pauses in an interview. You start feeling uncomfortable, right? Whenever there are 4 or 5 seconds of nothing happening, like it happened just now. So you don't have to talk. It's okay. Maybe the interviewer is taking time and deciding what they want to do with you. Unless you have a point in time, you don't have to talk. Last part is the closing. I spoke about it. Your opportunity to ask great questions at the end. If you have a great question, you don't have to go out of your way to ask the question. Also, you can ask about the additional benefits of hiring you, not what you will get after you get the job, right? So these things also help. Also, tell them why you would become a good fit, and when the decision will be made. These are things that helps in order to end. Some very basic things for interviews, and these are a little away from storytelling as a concept. But if you don't look at this as an interview, you are not going to succeed. These are hacks for cracking your interviews, right? First is research your company very well. This is not an option, guys. You have to look at the company website. You have to make sure that you have gone through the LinkedIn profile of the person who is going to interview you. Remember, the person is also going to look at your Facebook and LinkedIn profiles at least, and your Insta profiles at least, if not more. So if you're an absolute joker there, then you're going to expect questions about those things when you come for the interview, right? The world has changed. Everything has become social media. You are what you post these days. And therefore, make sure that that you are looking at your own profile and the organization profiles also. Secondly, very importantly, analyze the job description. Every organization also provides you what the job is going to be, right? Read about it from every line. Look at your own fit also. In case you have past experience, remember to mention how you fit into the job description very well. Also, if you don't have past experience in terms of the projects and the clubs and the extracurricular activities that you have done. Also in terms of your favorite subjects, how you fit into the job. Thirdly, very important to prepare for potential questions. Some questions are going to come. Tell me about yourself will come 9 out of 10 times. If you're not prepared, then you have only yourself to blame, right? In these type of questions. And now, for example, if someone asks me, tell me about yourself, I have two options. Let's say I go for a job after this, after Kardeko. I have two options. Option number one, I'm going to tell you, sir, I have born and brought up in West Bengal. I have done my engineering from NIT Rourkela, sir. I have done my MBA from SP Jain, Mumbai. Oh, sorry, sir. My name is Devojit. I also went on to work in a media company for 8 years, sir, where I did sales. Post that, sir, I went on to Exceed Education, where I was regional head and I was also doing sales. Now, sir, I am in a PNL role in Kardeko. And that's why I think I should get the job, sir. Option number one, he already has your CV and you have again told a summary of your CV to them. Maximum people still start with their name. I have no idea why. They know your name, right? They're sitting in front of you with the CV in your hand. Option number two, sir, I think I am the best possible candidate for this job because I have tested myself in various profiles all across my career. I started in a role in which I was doing virtually everything, starting from making sure I was selling to developing business. I was managing finance. I was managing HR from scratch to the maximum possible things in the organization. Post that, sir, I went on to manage a large geography in Exceed Education, where I was managing large parts of India from North to East India. There I learned how to manage large teams. I also learned how to manage cross-functional diversification in terms of geography, kind of culture people have, and therefore how they can be managed even well. Currently in the role at Kardeko, sir, I manage the overall P&L. I understand how revenues work, how costs work, what are the various parts of revenue and cost, along with large teams and large geographies, and therefore I know how businesses become profitable even in the short term. And therefore I think I am the best candidate for you. I've told you a story, and I am trying to sell you the story of my life and not just my degrees. They would have already seen that I'm from a certain college, and therefore they would have called me for the interview, right, in the first place. So thus, important when you are going prepared for tell me about yourself. These are answers that the interviewer will expect you to know. Secondly, I think no-brainer, be punctual and switch on. By switch on, I mean switch on your brain before you get into the interview. Don't enter sleepy. Be in your best behavior. If you don't want the job, don't even enter the interview. But if you want the job, be active, be alive, while being polite and professional and being in your best behavior. Right? It's important. People want people who are alive. Forget jobs. You would want your business partner to be alive, right? Tomorrow, if you open your own business, do you want a dead person or an alive person? And that's the switching on point. Thirdly, very important in an interview, people feel they are going to talk. No. Why people go for interviews is because they want to they also have to listen. And when I say listening, what I mean, the interviewer is expecting you to hear all the questions very, very professionally and minutely. The interviewer is not expecting you to skip the questions as they go along, right? And therefore, keep listening very, very carefully. And listening should be with the purpose of understanding and not with the purpose of just responding. Once you understand the question well, you'll be able to answer better. Speak clearly and sit uptight. I think upright, a very important point. This can't be ignored at all. This is very importantly, a lot of people tend to slouch on the chair. If I'm taking the session like this, the impact that I'll create will be very different from taking the session right in front of you. Similar for interviews, right? When you're talking. Speaking clearly, speaking upright. I'll rush through some of them. Do not waste time. Do not beat around the bush. A lot of times when you don't know an answer, you tend to beat around the bush. Sir, okay, I'll tell you, I know what you're saying. Actually, what I meant was these answers are not accepted. Mention your strengths. Find ways to mention your strengths. All of us are good at something. And use the interview to talk about why they should hire you rather than harping on the points on why they should not, even if they have caught that for you. Try and keep coming back to why they should hire you. Define your career goal. One very important point. People want to hear from people who are clear in what they want to do with their careers. And therefore, having a 30, 60, 90-day plan in the short term and a 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan in the long term helps. It doesn't matter whether you will eventually reach there or not, but it's important to plan so that you at least have a direction, right? And therefore, defining your career goal becomes important. Lastly, I think following the interviewer's lead. Some interviewers will be very quiet in nature. They'll ask one question and then keep looking into it. Some interviews will be very active. They'll ask a lot of questions. They'll not allow you to finish your answers also. Some interviewers will like stories. Some interviewers will like facts. It's a combination of all. It's very important that you want to follow the lead of the interviewer whenever you are talking. Match their frequency, if you understand what I'm saying, when you are talking. And that helps in getting better and better when you are answering. And stay motivated and show gratitude. I think that this is something that's, again, this cannot be compromised, that you're always taking a moment to thank them at the end of the interview and staying motivated irrespective of what the result of the interview is. Just want to add 2-3 lines on what is a video interview these days, right? A lot of interviews now are videos. Given the COVID age, and COVID is not going to go at least for the next 6 months or so, given how it seems. Firstly, dress sharp. A lot of times we feel if it's a video interview, we can go in a t-shirt, right? Or we can be in our casuals. It doesn't happen that way. Imagine that the interviewer is meeting you face to face. What you would be wearing on that day, wear that for the interview that you're going to face. Second, smile and make eye contact. A lot of people ask me, where do I see? I don't know where the interviewer is. Like the interview is in front of the screen while the camera is above. Wherever you're seeing, see at just one place throughout. Don't change your location. Doesn't matter which part of the screen you're looking at. But wherever you're seeing, look at one place throughout. Keep a resume, pen and a paper. Now this is important, not so much in a face-to-face interview, but in a video interview. If you have a pen and a paper and if you write down once or twice when the interview tells you something, it shows you're more attentive, you're serious about what you are hearing. Right? A pen and a paper helps therefore. Test your internet. Very importantly, no one, trust me, no one likes a frozen screen. आप बात कर रहे हो आपका screen freeze हो गया. No one likes that. आप बात कर रहे हो और उनको आधा सुनाई दे रहा है, and they are saying, अरे your voice is not very clear, Yukti. Can I hear? Can you test your internet connection a little bit better? No one likes that, right? Test your internet from before and make sure you have the right environment. Imagine you're sitting in a place where it's absolutely messy behind you. The entire focus will be behind you than on you because it's disturbing. Imagine someone is coming and going all the time, right? I initially, when the COVID hit us and I was not very well adept at taking a lot of these video meetings, my lab used to just keep jumping up and down on me throughout all my sessions. Although I used to find it cute in the beginning, then I realized it's absolutely unprofessional after a point, right? And therefore these things matter, small things, but make sure that the environment around you is also giving you that space that you are in the right mood. And very importantly, some other benefits, guys, of doing well in an interview is this can be a lifetime opportunity of building a rapport. See, it doesn't matter whether you crack the interview or not, but they are not telling you no for being a connect for all your life, right? You're not going to do one job in your life. Data says a person does 12 jobs in their lifetime today, and it's increasing this number. In my father's time, this was 1.5 jobs. Today it's 12 jobs. 12 job agar karne hi karne hai, better stay in touch with everyone, right? You might need a job anytime. So use the opportunity to develop a rapport, connect with the interviewer, even if they don't take you. Very important, right? Second, have the assumption that you're talking to an equal. Don't assume in an interview the interviewer is better than you. Have the assumption of talking to an equal, and therefore when you treat, and don't treat them like a friend, treat them like a professional colleague, professional equal. That will also make sure that you're in the best of spirits. You're also feeling energetic, you want to kind of do well in the interview. Always remember the company needs you also like you need the job, and therefore stay in the best of spirits. So coming to the coming to one a very important part in terms of the interviews, some things that you should not ask. Never ask the interviewer what the company does. It's expected that you will learn about it. Secondly, avoid asking questions about salary and appraisal right in the beginning, at least, right? You can ask the HR about that, but don't ask the interviewer too much about salary and appraisals. A lot of people tend to ask that. Do not ask too many personal questions, right? A lot of, I remember I was sitting with an HR in an interview, and she was asking most of the questions in that round, and the interviewee at the end asked, "Ma'am, बाकी सब तो ठीक है, पर आपने ये साड़ी कहाँ से ली है?" तो there was a pause after that. 10-15 सेकंड हम में से किसी ने कुछ नहीं बोला. We were just thinking, how did that question come from? A lot of times we tend to end up asking personal questions. Avoid them. Try and keep the questions as professional as possible. Do not ask multiple questions in one go. Try and ask one when you're asking at the end. These are all points on what at the end आप जो सवाल पूछते हो उसके हिसाब से. And eventually, point number 5, just make sure that you're not necessarily sticking to one topic. You have a personality that covers multiple things, right? So thus as you have established, even in interview, storytelling becomes an integral part, right? And as I mentioned on how to tell about yourself, people will ask you, tell us a time when you faced a mistake, tell us a time that you succeeded or failed, etc., etc. These are all parts of an interview that gets asked, and you should have a story ready, a ready-made story for each one of these situations that keeps you prepared, much more prepared than normally you are. So last section, last 5-7 minutes, I would want to tell you about how you can become a storyteller. We have spoken about what is storytelling. We have spoken about what is an interview. Last section, last 7 minutes, I'm going to talk about how you can become a storyteller. आप storyteller कैसे बन सकते हो? In that very important assumption, guys, remember, storytelling changes the teller much more than the listener. And therefore, why it's important to have good stories is not because कोई और आपका story सुन के convince हो, impress हो. It's because you want to love your life also. You want to make sure that you think you have had great achievements in your life till now. And thus your stories will give you that belief that yes, I have had a life of meaning, right? Everyone plays cricket. The reason why Mahendra Singh Dhoni is comparatively more famous than the others is because there are so many stories about him. Think about it. There's a movie around him. Every time he does something, there is the entire social media publishes something about him. So there are every day thousands of stories about him, and thus he keeps getting more and more and more famous now without his own intention. Also, it's just happening, right? So that thus the last part, become a storyteller. First is you need to know what are the kinds of storytellers, right? Types of storytellers. Some people persuade, some inspire, some revolutionize, some manipulate, and some tap into your potential. You have to first decide what kind of storyteller you want to become, right? Do you want to become the Mahatma Gandhi who would have revolutionized the country, or do you want to become that CEO who would inspire the entire company, or you want to become the champion sales and marketing person who's great at persuading? Right? Manipulation is not a negative word, by the way. Manipulation is a neutral word used negatively. Or do you want to become the best manipulator of the country till now? Think about it. That's the first step. Second is, what are the elements of a great story? When you're telling a story, what are the various elements of it? First is body language. No good story is told better than having great body language, right? Second is timing. When do you use what? When do you say what becomes a very important part in your entire storytelling pitch or the stories that you're saying. Third is yin yang. This is a Chinese phenomenon which says that the story should have ups and downs. There should be times of anxiousness, tension. There should be times of happiness. Again, there should be times of risk taking, and there should be times of joy or non-risk situations or moments. There should be anticipation. You should be waiting for what happened, right? And your story should have that. There should be details. If you remember my Paris story, I told you what color jacket the guy was wearing, right? I told you how tall that guy was. Unnecessary, but the details would have helped you imagine that particular moment, right? And therefore, details become important. There should be energy in the story. Again, without it, do you remember any storyteller who is sleeping and tell you a story? Never happens, right? There should be energy when you're telling a story. Climax should be important. What do you tell at the end? All good movies you remember because it ended well, right? It's a very important part. You tend to forget good stories if they don't end well. So thus, to become a storyteller, guys, I'm going to leave you with 5 tips for storytelling if you already are not using them. Number 1, prepare. You can't tell a story without preparing, but don't over prepare. Don't make it a rote learning script. थोड़ा सा आप छोड़ देना एंड में ताकि आप खुद से बोल पाओ. Don't tend to over prepare, but prepare well. Second is name the names. A lot of times when we are telling stories, we tend to say ये मेरे मामा के चाचा ने ये बोला था, या मेरे भाई ने ये बोला था, या फिर मेरे बुआ के बेटे ने ये बोला था. Doesn't help. Name the names. Always, although the picture shows you the person who can't be named, but name the names always helps if you've seen Harry Potter. Thirdly, start at the beginning and at the end. I have a friend जो कहता है यार पता है कल क्या हुआ था, मैं पहले बॉस के केबिन में गया, बॉस ने मुझे ये सारा काम दिया, फिर मैं अपने टेबल पे आया, फिर अपना लैपटॉप खोला, काम करना शुरू किया, फिर वापस बॉस के केबिन के अंदर गया, फिर स्टोरी शुरू हुआ. अब अभी स्टोरी शुरू होना था तो अभी तक क्यों बताया, राइट? सो स्टार्ट एट द बिगिनिंग मीन्स जहां से भी स्टोरी शुरू होता है वहीं से शुरू करो. एंड एट द एंड मीन्स मॉरल्स खुद मत बताओ, उसे अब्सॉर्ब करने दो. आप एंड करके भूल जाओ. ये मत बोलो अच्छा स्टोरी तो सुना दे, एक्चुअली स्टोरी का मॉरल ये है, ये वो खुद निकाल लेगा अगर आपकी स्टोरी अच्छी है, राइट? हैव मोमेंट्स ऑफ टेंशन, डोंट ऑफेंड योर ऑडियंस. आई थिंक these are some basics of storytelling, things you can't miss. I'll run through them for paucity of time. To have a great first line, you can't miss that. You should start the story well, have some stakes. What do you gain or lose? You should know your story well enough. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि आप बोल रहे हो याद नहीं आ रहा है क्या हुआ था. That normally shouldn't happen. Don't miss building common ground. Induce a feeling, whatever it is, pity, fear, empathy, catharsis. Introduce the power of contrast. How you say something is much more important than what you say. Very, very, very important. Right? And the power of vocabulary. Very important. Your vocabulary becomes an integral part of the kind of stories you say. I have a 8-year-old nephew. उसको मैं पूछूं एग्जाम कैसा गया, कहता है awesome. मूवी दिखाने ले जाऊं, मूवी कैसा लगा, कहता है awesome. कुछ शॉपिंग करके बढ़िया से आई टेक हिम फॉर शॉपिंग, बोलूं कैसा लगा तुझे आज शॉपिंग करके, कहता है awesome. I wonder when he eventually falls in love, पूछूंगा how did you feel falling in love, क्या बोलेगा? So therefore, power of vocabulary becomes very important, right? Where you're able to express yourself through various words that you're saying. Obviously, there are various places from where you get your stories, your organization, your own life, world around you. So you can't complain, मेरी कहानियाँ नहीं है मेरे जिंदगी में. You will have stories, but it's where you take it from. So here's where I would want to end. Remember, eventually we are all stories, right? In the end, we are all going to become stories. Do you know anything other than a story about your grandfather or your great great grandfather who are not alive anymore? So that's where I would want to end. You can follow me. Mostly, I'm most active on LinkedIn. You just have to search for my name, Devojit Sen. I would just send my LinkedIn profile also on the chat box. I've also sent the my YouTube page as well as my Cracked organization page. You can follow that also. There's a lot of fun we keep having there, and I've just sent you I've just sent you my profile also. There's a lot of fun that we keep having there in terms of various skills. As you can see on the screen, skills of networking, negotiation, personal branding, career roadmap, a lot of skills that we talk about. We are there on all social media platforms. Thank you everyone. If there are any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. You don't necessarily need to write in the chat box anymore. It's a comparatively smaller audience. Please feel free. Questions ranging from storytelling, from cracking interviews, or from Kar Dekho my organization, or Cracked my organization. Any of these, please feel free. Thank you. Sukriti, are there any questions that have come till now? We can take them also.
There's a question they filled in registration. So the first question is how to get the best placement.
Oh, so I can talk for a year about that. But if you want an answer on best placements, I think guys, first you have to choose the job that you want. The problem is we are all confused. We feel that we'll take any job that comes our way as long as it hits our CTC criteria or a certain profile criteria. If you have 3, 4, 5 companies at max in mind, nothing like it. Post that, look at the job profile you want. Nothing like it. Post that, start preparing on the kind of job you want. Placements will become history. You will not even need your college for that. You can crack all jobs yourself. If I can tell you, Harvard College, which is the best college in the world, don't have placements. They ask students to find their own jobs because the degree is so powerful and the people that study there are so well sought out in their own minds. And therefore they know which jobs to get. They reach them themselves, prepare well, and crack the job. So yeah.
So the second question is how is project making actually linked to higher chances of cracking an interview?
See, the projects, good question. The projects that you do are have to be absolutely linked to your passion and the jobs that you want to do. Don't take up a project just for the sake of it or filling your CV. That doesn't help. But if you're doing a project in the kind of job that you want to do, then you'll be talking much more confidently about that project, right, in your interview. You will also tell them that I'm appearing in this interview because I've done that project before and I know very well what is going to happen in this job. So take up projects that help you in the interview. I think that's the best way to justify.
So what exactly when you are like sitting in an interview, like he asks you why do you want to be in a job with this our company? So where you see yourself in next upcoming year. So what should be your answer to these type of questions?
Yeah. So why do you want to join us? Will be a lot of what you have studied about the company till then. All companies will have certain amount of values also along with the JD or the job profile that has been shared with you. Answer from both point of views. First, this is the job description and this is why I fit into that job description. You should have those reasons ready. Second is these are the values of your company and I also feel I have similar values. Only say the truth, don't make up answers. But if you really feel you have those values, then Therefore, I will fit in beautifully to the culture of your organization. Remember Ikigai, what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you'll get paid for. So if all of this becomes a part of it, then why do you want to join us becomes very, very simple. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now is normally a trick question. And to that, you should have an answer ready in terms of your own life, your own career. And more, as specific you get, the better it is. Rather than giving very generic answers that I want to be in learn a lot, I want to kind of grow in your organization. If you can get to specific goals in your life, not designation, but goals in your life, that becomes better. So yeah, that's the answer.
So the last question, how to sell yourself in front of interviewers?
Okay, so yeah, you don't really have to sell yourself. I don't know if you have the wrong myth in your mind. See, you don't want to land up in a job that you will not enjoy, right? You get into a job and then go out for a break for lunchtime, and let's say everyone else is craving and you also start craving. That's not the situation you want to be in. So if you have to sell yourself that maybe it's not the right job. If you're yourself, just yourself, and still they select you, then it's the right job. But while being yourself, just remember that you have to be authentic. You have to talk about your achievements in a storytelling format. You have to remember the facts of your life till now. You have to know what you have done and why you have done till now. But you don't have to sell yourself as such. You have to be authentic and real. I think that should be enough.
So someone posted on the chat box like, are internships really important before placement?
Helps a lot. I would not lie. I think very, very important because students normally don't have any other experience, right? A work experience. Then it becomes a never-ending cycle. You have not worked, so we can't select you. And if you have not worked, how will you get experience? So internships become a very important and integral part there. If you have a great internship that you have done, you are able to talk about it when you are trying for a job. And therefore in that job, if that internship fits into the job, you have a lot more content to talk about than your friend who has not done an internship, just studied and not even had a great no, doesn't even have great grades while studying. So you are always better off having an internship.
Thank you. It was great having you. It was a very nice session, I guess. So thank you so for sharing your experience and inspiring us. And thank you everyone for joining us. And have a great evening ahead.
Thank you, Sukriti. Thank you, everyone. Stay in touch and make sure that your storytelling lessons are real and you really have good stories to share with everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.